Hello, my name is Emma, and today I'm going to be talking about accessibility on Virginia Tech's campus, specifically the physical and digital barriers that students with disabilities experience in their daily lives. While most of us walk around campus, we don't think twice about how we're getting from place to place. But for many students, that experience is completely different, and that is what I wanted to focus on today. I chose this topic because it's personal to me. One of my best friends is a part-time wheelchair user, and through that, I've started to notice things I never used to think about, like whether a building has a ramp or if an elevator is working. I also deal with chronic health issues, which are often invisible. That's shown me how disabilities that aren't immediately visible are often overlooked or dismissed. Accessibility isn't just about convenience, it shapes whether students can fully participate in their education. Hi, this is me editing in post. My best friend did give me permission to use her as the story. I felt like it might be in poor taste if y'all thought I was just like, and look at this poor person who can't walk, because she's awesome. She's my favorite person. I love her so much. And yeah. When I talk about accessibility, I'm referring to both physical and digital barriers. Physical barriers include things like steep pathways, construction zones, or buildings with limited accessible entrances. Digital barriers include things like websites that don't work with screen readers, poorly formatted documents, or videos without captions. These issues may seem small individually, but together they create significant challenges for students. Virginia Tech's campus is beautiful, but not always accessible. Students often have to deal with steep hills, long distances between buildings, and construction that blocks accessible routes. Even something like a broken elevator can completely disrupt a student's day. These barriers don't just cause inconvenience, they can limit access to classes, events, and opportunities. Accessibility isn't just physical, it's also digital. Many students rely on screen readers or other assistive technology, but not all university platforms are designed with that in mind. For example, documents may be formatted And an additional health issue, which not many people consider, are chronic migraines, which I do get. And during the episode of a migraine, which I get like once a week, I am unable to be on any form of electronic device, and I also generally lose my eyesight, or more specifically, my reading, like my ability to comprehend text. And because of that, often a bunch of assignments, I just can't do anything that day. So in an ideal world, there'd be an option to do things not on a computer and instead like a hard copy, and also an easier time getting health accommodations due to something that isn't like in your face and irrefutable, but instead something that you just have to trust either the person or the doctor's word for the need for the accommodation. These issues affect a wide range of students, not just those who use wheelchairs. Students with visual, auditory, or chronic conditions also experience barriers. Some of the biggest challenges aren't just physical, they include lack of awareness, inconsistent accessibility standards, and stigma around disability. Often access is treated as an individual problem instead of an institutional responsibility. I'd be interested in hearing what professors and Virginia Tech employees think about both the points I've made and also things that I've missed. I am not in the loop of the training they receive and also the instructions they have on how to deal with accessibility discrepancies. There is always more that can be done, but I'm not sure in what is being done on their side, because I can only speak from the perspective of a student and the other students who I have talked to. The social change model of leadership development is a framework that explains leadership as a process aimed at creating positive social change rather than just holding a position of authority. It is based on the idea that leadership is collaborative, values-based, and focused on improving society. This model is built around 3 levels of change. individual level focuses on what each person brings to the group, including self-awareness, values, and commitment. Group level focuses on how people work together, including teamwork, shared purpose, conflict resolution, and trust. Societal level focuses on the broader impact of change, including justice, citizenship, and contribution to communities, as well as creating lasting change beyond the group. This is where leadership connects to real-world improvement. This issue connects directly to the social change model of leadership. At the individual level, it challenges us to reflect on our own awareness and responsibility. At the group level, it highlights the need for collaboration between students, faculty, and campus organizations. And finally, at the societal level, accessibility becomes a part of a larger conversation about equity and inclusion, at what kind of community we want to create. So what needs to change? First, there needs to be a stronger commitment to universal design, creating spaces that are accessible to everyone from the start. Second, accessibility standards needs to be consistent across campus. Third, there should be better system for reporting and fixing issues quickly. And finally, increasing awareness among students can make a big difference in creating a more inclusive environment. Around Virginia Tech specifically, during this project, I have been trying to pay more attention, especially to the physical barriers, because those are both more pressing and easier to enforce reform for. I have noticed that about a third of the open the door buttons don't work, most notably the ones outside of Dietrich Hall. You press the button, it does nothing, and also just around campus, those wheelchair accessible kind of like, I'm pretty sure mandated forms of accessibility are not there, and this has been an issue for the entire school year. There's also many paths around campus that include stairs, and while there are ramps that technically make it so that you can always get from point A to B without stairs, the ramps are often pushed out of the way or incredibly steep, making them, I assume, not terribly convenient, instead of having a ramp specifically for someone who needs a wheelchair, where it is the zigzag that you see when you're out and about. I used 3 main sources to support my research. The study by Cirilli and others shows that accessibility gaps exist across universities nationwide, which helps put Virginia Tech in a broader context. Dolmaj's work explains how higher education has historically excluded people with disabilities, which helps frame this as a structural issue as well as a societal one, relating back to the social change model. And the National Disability Center reports provide student-centered data on real experiences and barriers, which strengthen the need for change and also provides areas for us to focus on. None of the sources I found countered what I already believed to be true, because I am a college student and I am actively experiencing it and could be considered a primary source. I do believe that if we wanted to get more convincing evidence, it'd be better to do surveys instead of just studies or an impersonal assessment, because it is one thing to be like, yes, this is fact, and then it's another to be like, this is actively affecting people in a personal level. So if I were to continue with this study and try to advocate for future change, I would use both my own testimony and others around me for proof rather than the sources I found. In conclusion, accessibility is not just about compliance, it's about inclusion. The way a campus is designed sends a message about who belongs there. If we want a more inclusive community, we have to actively work towards removing those barriers. Even small actions like being aware, advocating for change, or designing with accessibility in mind can make a meaningful difference. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching my submission for the social change project as my final for this class. The slides on display were an edited version from Slidesco. I took the theme and then made them the Virginia Tech colors. Thank you for the year.